Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Sandra.
Hi,
Great.
Andy.
Welcome everyone to Appeal Marketing Lab Part 3. We are super excited to be virtually with you today. Before I kick it over to Andy to get started, I just want to put in a small little plug for our Business Excellence Awards. Our nominations just opened today. So we have all the normal categories for the awards. So it's large business, small business, nonprofit, woman-owned, citizen of the year. And then we also have a new one this year called New Business of the Year. So if you all know any new businesses that opened, we want to get all those nominations in. So hopefully we can award one of them, obviously, but get those nominations in for all of those categories. It's live on our website. You're welcome to self-nominate. You can nominate however many you want to, feel free to. Those award nominations will close on May 3rd, so just make sure you get your nominations in before then. And then our award ceremony is going to be on June 24th at Hotel South, so we're super excited about that. So even if you don't nominate, feel free to register and join us then. All right, I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Andy, and I will let you take the show from here.
Thanks, Kim. Really appreciate that. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today for part 3. Hopefully, everybody has been on parts 1 and 2, or at least watched them. Again, we appreciate you and are glad that you're here. I'm Andy Vanhook, Imaginative Producer at Appeal Production. And today with me is our own fabulous, brilliant, and I could continue to brag on her because I'm a huge fan of one of our art directors at Appeal, Miss Claire Brenneman.
Oh, Andy. Hello, everybody. I'm Claire. I am an art director at Appeal. So the main thing that I do for Appeal is I create a concept with our client and during our concept workshop, and we kind of come up with a concept together and try and figure out a game plan for trying to accomplish a goal that they have that they want to create a video for. So I mainly gather the content and the footage and create graphics and stuff, and then I put it all together to accomplish their goal.
She does way more than that. She's being very modest, but that's okay. That's one of the reasons why she's my favorite. But don't tell anybody else I said that because I would completely deny it. Anyway, and that's why Claire's here today, because the first 2 sessions, the first one, and I'm going to screen share here quickly. That button is important. So the first 2 sessions were about knowing your target audience and then storytelling. And this one, we really want to talk about visualizing your brand and what imagery and how to think about imagery and what to select and that kind of guide you down the path of some of those aspects. And this is a Miro board that we use when we're working with clients to kind of guide them through a concept workshop, is what we call that. And we're going to kind of walk through some of those processes here. Got a great quote here at the top by one of my favorites, Seth Godin. A brand is the set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that, taken together, account for a consumer's decisions to choose one product or service over another. So making sure that we visualize your brand properly, or you visualize your brand properly, is very important to help that customer on that journey to make you their buying decision. As we slide over, again, in review momentarily, hide that because Claire's getting ready to fuss at me for not hiding the highlighted changes. The first month back in February now, which seems crazy to me, was our friend Patrick McFadden from Indispensable Marketing. We talked about research and identifying your audience and making sure that you know your audience before you determine start any marketing campaign. And then last month we had a Whitney Hahn join us from Digital Bard. She talked about the chemistry, which is aligning your story with your target audience's problem. All right, moving forward, jumping right into it. We're going to start off by talking about a creative brief. Okay. And some of this work has already been done in the previous weeks, but we'll go through it again anyway. And then we'll get to some new stuff here at closer to the end of this first section. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. We're all friends here. No question is out of bounds. So by all means, feel free to ask anything. You can throw it in the chat, or you can raise your hand, or if I miss the chat, you can just yell at me. No problem. We'll be all good. All right. So in a creative brief, it's kind of the first step after you've gathered the other information in the first 2 sessions, right? Is to come together with kind of these 8 different steps in some facet to outline what your challenges are, who the audience is, what problem you're trying to fix, who competition is, and as you go through it. So the first one is background. So who is the client and what is their problem? And we identified those in the first 2 sessions. However, it's really important in this to make sure that that's where we start. Who is that ideal customer for your organization, and what is their root problem that you're trying to solve? Maybe you've launched a new product or service that you've been seeing a need for from your clients or from the community. How can you shift that conversation from being necessarily what you offer at the beginning to fixing their problem? So making sure we identify what that problem is early is a huge aspect. The objective, what's your brand trying to accomplish? With any project, video, marketing piece, what do you want? Do you just want awareness? Which there's nothing wrong with an awareness campaign. They're good to have out there, continually reminding people about your brand, who you are. So when the time comes to buy, you're top of mind. Really important stuff. However, if you're wanting them to take an action, you need to make sure that we're asking them to do something. If we want them to go to a website, a specific website, maybe it's a landing page on your website to do a specific thing, fill out a contact us form, or have us reach out to, or any of those kinds of things that you could do, whether it's a website page or having them to call or fill out a form. What's that call to action? So what is your brand trying to accomplish with the marketing piece that you're working on? Then again, target audience. So who are your brand's ideal customers, and how does diversity play into that? I think it's a really important space to understand not just who your current typical clients are. Maybe start to reach out in other circles and find out, well, maybe there's opportunity to grow my business or my marketing campaign in other areas of the community that may not be one you currently serve. So think about, if you're going into a new target area, you really need to understand who that target audience is. Good so far? Yes, head nods. I haven't seen any thumbs downs yet. Okay, that's a good thing. All right, good. And the message, what is your brand trying to say? And by brand, we're using that term as your organization. So your brand is your organization. If your target, that's what we're using as the brand. Okay. So what is your brand trying to say? If you've got a new product, you're wanting to let people know that you have a new product. So what is that product? How does it fix their problem? And how can you get them to try it, test it, or take the next step to see if it's the right fit for them? So the message comes in there, and again, that goes back to what Whitney was talking about last month with the storytelling, tying in your brand and your service offerings into what your target client needs. Next is the 5th block down there on the bottom left is competition. So who are your brand's biggest competitors? And whether you're a for-profit or nonprofit entity, you have competitors. And we talked about one at Appeal earlier today. We have, there's numerous competitors, whether for us, it's other video production companies is a direct competitor. You have radio that somebody could decide to spend their dollars on, which is an alternative competitor. Well, you also have this, which is a replacement competitor. So there's different competitors for every industry, and making sure you know who they are in this space, especially in a creative brief, the reason it's important is knowing what they're doing with their marketing. Because in our opinion, the last thing you want to do is replicate what your competitor is doing, because then there becomes brand confusion in the marketplace. So your client, your prospective client, doesn't know if it's you or your direct competitor. So you want to make sure that things are different in that space. I mentioned Target earlier. We're going to talk about Target again, but who really quickly can tell me what Target's primary color is? You got to turn your mic on. Claire, you can't
Red.
answer. All right, who said that? Who said that? You win the prize.
Me, Beth.
All right, Beth, thank you. Good job. The prize is a double thumbs up from me. I'm sorry, there'll be better prizes maybe later. No. But again, so Target is red, right? Who's their biggest competition? Keep you on the hot seat, Beth.
Walmart,
Yep. What's their primary color?
blue and
Okay.
yellow.
Yeah. So if Target had decided to go with a blue color scheme,
Brand
50
confusion.
yeah, there's brand confusion there because even if it's a different shade of blue, there could be just some confusion in people's minds, and then they just tend to think it's Walmart because either Walmart's bigger or older or more well known. Any of those things can really cause that confusion. So something as simple as color scheme is something to think about. Now, if you've already got brand assets in place, which you've used for years, and your main competitor has a similar color scheme, there are still things that you can do that Claire will get into here in a minute that differentiate you from those competitors. So again, in this part, really understanding who that competition is and what their campaigns look like, and not trying to replicate them. We like to tell people to stand on their own merits, understand what your competitors do, but stand on your own merits and values, and create campaigns that are based on what you do well.
Yeah, and I think that's a good transition into that next number 6 point, which is distinguishing characteristics and what is making your brand unique to itself. And you can do that by looking at your competition and seeing what the market's like and things like that. But it's also good for you to just kind of come up and do something different and make yourself look completely different from your competition. And maybe you'll have certain clients that'll come to you because you've done something different, or you've done something that they're more attracted to visually or something like that. I think is huge. And I think in this space, we also talk about what makes your brand unique. How does your brand speak? How do you make people feel? As a brand as a whole is different than just brand identity. So your brand identity is your brand guidelines, your colors, your logo, and the look of your brand. But then your brand as a whole is, how is that speaking to your client, and how is your client going to react to your brand? So thinking of it as your brand as a whole and your brand identity, I think is something to kind of just keep in mind while we go through this all. So the next number 7 is creative considerations, and I kind of touched on that. Any specific branding guidelines that are required within your work. So again, it comes to the branding guidelines, if you have those already together for your company, which is like patterns, colors, any specific graphic style you use, a photo editing style, or things like that. And then
one thing I'll add on to that, if you don't mind, is, those branding guidelines, I've done a lot of work for people over the years, and some have them well defined, others don't. If you do have them well defined, it's very, very helpful, not just for you and the organization, but also for anybody else that you may bring in to help you with your marketing campaign. Some might say, well, it limits the creativity of the people that I'm working with if I have to follow the brand guidelines. And we view it completely differently. It tells us what those parameters are and what space that we can play within. And then it helps us to become more creative, because it's not the world is open to us. It's this space. Okay, these are our colors. These are our fonts. These are the moods that we like to have in our imagery. So it starts to make that canvas a little bit smaller, so it gives us a lot more room to come up with creative in that space. And we find that, you know, that really helps our clients too. So if you don't have a solid set of brand guidelines, I think we would suggest that be something that you consider developing for your organization.
Yeah, it makes our life a lot easier when we start from something. We know that we always do start from something because we're always working for our clients, but it gives us a starting point where we can kind of get things moving, and we know that it's following those guidelines, so our client's going to be happier with it because it looks like their brand. So cool. All right. So the next number 8, I think, is a huge one for me. I don't know why. For some reason, I just love the idea of coming up with 5 words that you always come back to whenever you create anything visually for your brand, because you always want to be able to double check your work and make sure that, oh, I personally feel like this image really represents my brand, but you always have your personal brand versus a company that you're working for, or things like that. So you want something that you can come back to kind of double check, make sure you're following that creative brief and everything that you've kind of determined on the start. So for what I feel like is a good step is to create or come up with 5 words. So what personality do you want to project to your audience? So I kind of came up with 4 different ones that I feel really represent appeal. And mine are that appeal is adaptable, they're knowledgeable, helpful, and cheerful. And I feel like while we kind of create and strengthen our brand, we can come back to those words. Even when you look at the colors that we use, when we show off our brand, it's cheerful. And we're doing this workshop because we want to be helpful to our clients, and we want to help them and help them understand our process and teach them so that they know how to use video and how to use it the best that they possibly can to show off their company, because that's very important to us. So I think starting off with that starting point of 5 words, get those adjectives listed down. So then when you're kind of creating these visuals, you have something to reference and come back to. So.
All right. So we're kind of at the end of this first step of the creative brief. Anybody have any questions at this point, or comments, thoughts, concerns? All right. Silence means everybody's gets it and they're all good to go. Or everybody had a really big lunch and they're just ready for a nap. I can do my soothing voice and make sure that everybody no, I'm kidding. One thing I will say is don't overthink the creative brief. We want you to think about it when you're putting something together, but you don't need a page for each of these. Write a sentence, you know, or a couple of words, like Claire said on number 8 there. Just what are 5 words for, you know, that describe the personality of your organization. And each of these can be done with practice very simply. Just jot it out. And that really, it will seem like minimal input, but it will really start to develop your campaign and the next piece of marketing material that you're getting ready to work on. Claire, shall I?
Yes, sir. So another thing that I strongly encourage brands to do would be to come up with a mood board, just to get yourself started visualizing what your brand looks like and what you want it to represent. And you can do this in so many different ways. With Google, just gathering images and putting it in a folder and just leaving it on your desktop so you can click in that. And before you post something to Instagram, you go look at those photos and you're like, oh, I think that follows what what I want people, or what I want my brand to invoke to the people that are seeing it. So then you can always, again, just come back and make sure that you're sticking with that, the consistency of what you're posting and things. So, and what you can gather here are images, patterns, illustrations. It's anything, and it doesn't have to be anything you create. It can just be things that you grab, that you see, that you feel like it follows what your creative brief has defined. And don't ever feel any hesitation towards grabbing an image. That third step in this process is going through and reviewing all of those images that you've gathered and refining and really defining what your brand is going to look like. And throughout this whole entire process, again, you ask yourself, is this appropriate for my brand? And does it follow the creative brief keywords? And just keep going back to those keywords. So, and some considerations when you're in this step as well is, don't think of the tones of like if a photo's edited a certain way or anything like that. Just look at what's deep down, what it's showing. So but one thing to keep in mind, if your brand is feminine and you're gathering a bunch of masculine photos and things like that, that's something that you wanna review and refine. So, and another thing is to look outside your industry. Don't be so narrowed in on looking at the photos of your competitors. Look at, if you're I'm trying to think, like us, a video production company, like we could easily go and look at a restaurant and just see what they kind of are doing in their industry and bounce some ideas of their brand and how we could use some information from them. So
I think that's a great point. Is a lot of times when we talk to clients and we're like, hey, have you seen any videos you like? They tend to gravitate towards what others have done in their industry, which is great. It's a good reference point. However, we've all seen things that we like, right? We've all seen that Super Bowl commercial that's funny, or that Instagram ad that's kind of quirky, that may not even be relevant to your industry. So think when you're going through this process, pull some of those nuggets back and go, I really liked that, compared to whether it fits your brand identity or not, and say, hey, you know what, maybe this is a style or a look or a way that we could create for our own organization.
yeah, you keep it very, very loose. It's not a visual representation of the company. It's very loose, and it's just to help you get brainstorming on things that you can do to help describe your brand. So
yeah, and I think it's one of those things. That's a great point, Claire. This is not a set in stone piece at this point, right? This is idea dump. This is, I like reds, and I think that, what am I saying? I like pinks. I like pinks, and I like, crazy jackets and whatever. And, you just dump a bunch of things in there, and then you start peeling back the layers and going, okay, maybe these things don't quite work. Mm-hmm. And really finding it down to what that message, what that look, what that style is for your organization.
yeah. So moving on to the next step, we've kind of created these into steps. So first it's that creative brief, second it's that mood board, and the next step that we have is consistency, which I think is number one. It should have been number one, but we needed to get through all of that information before we could get here. Once you do all of this stuff and you're working and creating these visuals for your brand, you need to make sure that you're keeping it consistent. So if somebody came to your brand for a certain reason, you're continuing to bring them back. And so for this next step that we're going to be doing of creating a storyboard for your specific company, you want to keep the consistent message of what goal do I want to accomplish? You come back to that creative brief and keeping in mind all of those main points, the background, the objective, the target audience, the message, and thinking of those while you're creating that message. And then that second step of what visuals follow the mood board that you created in the first step and the visual identity, but help the viewer understand that message. And then the step 3 of reviewing and refining and double checking and making sure that everything accomplishes that main goal. So yeah, and so that's an example that we had come up with was Target, that we feel like Target has a really good consistency within their marketing brand, and they make you feel a certain way, and they have a certain type of products that they give out. They have a little bit higher end probably than Walmart, I think, is what they want people to feel when they go shop there. So yeah, and they have that red, the bullseye in their commercials and their pamphlets that they would give out, or if they're hiring and they have a big banner out on front of their store, they have that branding that's consistent throughout any type of marketing that they do. So
Yeah, and you even think, I'm sure it's really easy because we've all gone to multiple stores, whether it's a grocery store or a department store or whatever, that has, where I grew up, we called them buggies, but shopping carts. And I guarantee you that dark gray is probably the default color that you can get for the cheapest for any of those large organizations. What color are Target's buggies? The red.
Red.
Right. So, I mean, even something along those lines, they took that next step of not just going, oh, okay, well, we can have a red insert on it. Well, maybe they did when they started, and they're a much larger organization, but they took that extra step to say, we want it to be red. We want it to be brand consistent. We want it to match what the rest of our pieces are and look like. And there are plenty of other brands out there that I guarantee that you all see and have bought on a regular basis, that their branding and their consistency and identity all really mesh really well together, because there's a theory called cognitive dissonance, and that's when things don't line up. So if you're doing all this stuff in red and all of a sudden you walk into Target and they've got like a blue banner on the wall, it's going to be really jarring to you as a customer. You're going to go, that's weird. Why is there a blue banner over there? And it's going to put you off. And a lot of times, if you're a new client or a new prospect, some of those little things can make the difference in a buying decision. You get a really nice brochure from somebody and you get to their website and it's clunky. It doesn't work. It looks like it's 20 years old. And it's like, well, this can't be the place that made this really nice, pretty brochure. I'm not going to talk to them, because it's just one of those things that it disconnects with their brand. So making sure that it's consistent across all those platforms is so vital. And I know we brought up Target a bunch, and it's really easy to go, well, sure, they've got a bunch of money and they can do whatever they want. Take the principles that they put in place and utilize them within the financial space that your organization has. Maybe you can't do a brochure and a brand new website. Make the call on which one's more important, right? And understand that there's going to be, okay, if it's step A is a brochure because it makes more sense for a lot of reasons, no, step B on the website needs to come relatively quickly after that, just to make sure all those things line up. Yep. But yeah, being consistent across all those things and putting it in your own budget space is really important. I'm sorry, I really interrupted you there, Claire.
You're good. You're good. No, I think that's a good point. Of every brand needs to start somewhere, and whether you're starting now or you started weeks, years, months, whatever ago, just keeping in mind all of these questions that we've had up on the screen when you are moving forward from now. I think that will help build consistency within your brand, and whatever you can do to help represent your brand the best it can be. Yeah, it would benefit. So.
Cool. All right, good deal. So we've gone over a lot of stuff in the first 30 minutes. And so next we're going to send you all into breakout rooms with Canva. But first, do you have any questions? Dun, dun, dun. How do I stop? There it is. Do you all have any questions on those first 3 steps that we talked about? I know we threw a lot of stuff at you in 30 minutes. 31 minutes, but do you have any questions that we need to rehash? Wow, good job, Claire. You nailed it. You've stumped them all. All right, good deal. So we're going to do did everybody do a Canva account or have one already? Lots of head nods. That's good. For those who just have pictures, I'm going to assume yes. Where am I at? Who am I? What am I doing here?
You need the link.
Thank you. Nope, I got it. I was just trying to figure out what screen I was trying to share. Okay. Has everybody got our Canva board here? You see that? Project name, Peel Marketing Lab. All right. Is everybody quasi familiar with Canva? Head nods, thumbs down if not.
Yes.
Okay. Good deal. Ariana, I see you. I think you're saying no. No worries. It's we'll do a quick overview, and Claire's probably going to be better than I am, but it's very simple, and
Yes.
it's and we're going to share these templates with you for you all to use. We're going to use them here momentarily, but then you can use them later on as well. But it's very simple. I mean, even things over here on the left-hand side, you click the photos and you can search for, let's see, I like happy puppies. So let's go for happy puppies. Oh, look, there's a happy guy. Oh, wait, it's a pro. Maybe you can slide it in there.
You can still use
see,
it.
you
We'll
can
just
still
have
use it if it's a pro. You can't use it for, if you wanted to put it out on Instagram or something, doing an ad on Instagram, because it would have these crosses on it, wouldn't look good. However, what we're doing here is a storyboard.
It's
that
just
you can-
brainstorming. So
Yeah, a brainstorming session, storyboard piece to kind of brain dump. So again, you can, don't do that, Andy.
You-
Oh,
No,
just ruin the whole
double-click.
thing.
double click. Double click on the image.
That guy,
Oh, that's to move it.
I double clicked, Claire.
I think
do that?
I would just leave it and yeah, nope. There we go.
Anyway, but yeah, you can do that.
Right
You can.
click and detach from background.
There we go.
Thank you, Susie Doll.
You're welcome.
You're the best. Takes a village, people. Takes a village. No, we're not removing watermarks. We're going to
Now right click
puppy.
and
Oh my gosh. Why am I even here? And I lost the other two. Oh well.
so
Anyway.
make us laugh, Andy.
That's all I see. Kim, I told you. One trick pony. Okay. Anyway. Claire, you want to share that link with them in the chat for
Yes.
the Canva board so they can hop over on here. Does anybody have any questions on this, Ariana? I know you said you weren't really familiar with it. And if I did a terrible job there of explaining how to use it, I know I did. But things you can do there is just type in whatever you're looking for in as the photos piece, grab, drag, and drop. And then if you want to change text, you can double click and go in there and change your text. Good? Okay. Did you share the link?
I'm getting there.
All right. Good deal.
All right, shared it.
All right, cool deal. There is a link in the chat that Miss Claire shared. And what we'll do is I will go around. Actually, why don't we go ahead and name them for each
Yeah.
one? So I'll do Ariana. Ariana, you'll be page 2. Who's next on my list? Beth, you'll be page 3. Allison Dugan is 4. Sandra is 5. Kay is 6. Susie is 7. Claire's copy and pasting as fast as she possibly can is 8. Shasta, Kim, you all want to play? Yep. Shasta, no. Okay, all good. Kim, you'll be number 9.
Okay.
All right. So they're there in the link. Just go to your board and look for some photos. Look for some things that represent your brand. So we want you to create a mood board, kind of feel board here. in that space. And I'm going to send you into breakout rooms so you have some quiet time alone for, let's say, 9 minutes. Does that work? Good? All right, good deal. Bink. And open all rooms. I lost Claire. Where'd she go? Did I give you a room, or can you go into a room since you're the host? Probably not. There, Kim. But you can play. Go
I was
ahead.
gonna say, I don't need a room. I'm good.
No, all good. All right, Claire.
I don't think I know how to get to rooms.
It's down at the bottom. Go to breakout
Okay.
rooms. It's a box of 4. Should say breakout rooms.
Yes, there we go.
All right, click that, and you should have a thing pop up in the middle of your screen.
Yes.
And which rooms do you want to join momentarily?
There's how many? 8-ish. What if I do like the first 3?
Okay,
1, 2, and
that
3,
works.
and
I'll
then
go
do
see Ariana,
5,
Allison, and Beth.
Cool.
All right. Thank you much. See you in a minute.
Here.
can't talk to you all if I'm muted. Who would have thought in over a year of using Zoom that I still haven't figured that one out? Anyway. All right. Thank you all for doing that. I'm skimming through these right now. We can go through everybody's. I'd love to go through everybody's if we have time. Is everybody okay with that? To go through each one and kind of talk through what you did?
Sure.
All right. Good deal. Ariana, you're at the top. I'm going to screen share. And why don't you talk us through your board?
Sure. I'm not on mute, right? No. Okay. So I didn't get to the part of adding descriptions, but this is actually the next video that Lance and Appeal are going to do together, is focusing more on what I'll call internally the office staff. Externally, I don't think we need to include that language, but really it's more of a subtle recruitment focus rather than a direct recruitment push, but really just showcasing that there's other careers in construction that are more desk, like office oriented positions, and trying to address, typically when people think of construction, oftentimes the first thing that comes to mind, understandably, is in the field, or like seeing someone actively like building, something physically. So just highlighting the careers in accounting or marketing or things of that nature that also fall into the construction industry. And so doing that by kind of telling the stories of some of our office team members. So
Good deal. Good stuff. Anybody have comments or thoughts or questions for Ariana?
Good job.
oh, thank you.
Good. All right. I'm going to scroll on down. Beth, you're up.
Okay, so I didn't quite finish either, but VPAS is really about helping people remain independent and living in their homes and communities and aging in a healthy way. And so actually our logo is a compass rose, and our tagline is navigating, I didn't do that right, but it's navigating aging together. And so some of our key programs that we've had but continue to grow into are our health and wellness programs. And we also are expanding our caregiver services because the needs of caregivers are just really bubbling to the top, particularly because of COVID. And then our signature, one of our core programs, is our Meals on Wheels program. So I was trying to make the compass bigger to see the whole thing, which expanded the Meals on Wheels, but considering we delivered nearly 53,000 meals in Harrisonburg and Rockingham County last year, I think it's okay for it to be bigger. So that's what I came up with.
That's cool. That's great.
I like that. I like the smiling faces.
Yeah, for sure. And congratulations, 53,000 meals is one heck of an accomplishment. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Allison, see, you don't get to sneak out yet. I know you got to be
Okay.
at 2:00, but here we go.
Right. I have a client appointment and everything's back to back, but I was having fun with Canvas, and it's really exciting to just do it so quick and dirty, right? You only have a few minutes, so you're just grabbing stuff and plunking it down and trying to look at, because we have key messaging already set up, but really looking at it from the customer, the potential customer's point of view. What do they need? And so many people need so many different things in different ways. And so that's where I was coming, but I can see we use Canvas for Canva for our color boards and whatnot for our network, our state network branding. So it's really easy to go in there and see what the color schemes are, what the fonts are. And so we're just beginning to really leverage it.
And I think that's a great point, Allison, is that if you don't have a branding guide in place that we talked about previously, Canva's a great way to kind of at least start something. And the cost is, I don't know, Claire, what was the annual cost for a premium
I
subscription?
think 119.
Yeah. So, less than $120 for an annual subscription. And you can start to put some of those things in there to where, yeah, maybe at some point you have somebody fully develop it and kind of polish it for you. But if you can start to put some of those branding pieces in there for yourself or your company, if you don't have a branding guide already lined up, this is a great way to do that.
Mhm.
So
Hey,
thanks for
Andy,
that, Allison.
if I could just interject,
Yeah.
nonprofits can apply to get the pro version at no cost.
Even better. See, it takes a village. Thanks, Beth. That's awesome. All right. Sandra, you still here? No, looks like we lost Sandra. I was kind of interested on what was going on with the ballet scene. All right. Kay, how are you, Kay?
There we are.
There she
Sorry, had to
is.
unmute.
That's okay.
You think I'd know too, right?
You know.
So I'm working with Mandy over at Refill, Renew, and Stanton, which is a zero waste shop. And the two things on the right are from some branding we've already done. The two things on the left are imagery that in her describing how she wants the customer to kind of think about clean, but then like relatable. Because we're not just cleaning, but that's kind of where everybody starts.
Good.
Yeah.
What else did you want to know?
No, I think that's good. I think that's an awesome. Go ahead, Claire. You
Yeah,
said
no,
it.
I like how you're kind of bringing a person into the mix where you have this product that you're trying to sell, but then you're seeing the client or the person using the product and things like that, which I think is another element that you can use in your marketing for sure. I like it.
Okay, great.
And it's always, I think Claire would agree, is that it's really always good to see people if you can, because people like seeing other people. And the other aspect is they can put themselves in that person's shoes. So they're like, oh yeah, wait, that could be me cleaning my house with the supplies from Refill.
Right, because I go back and forth between wanting everything to look clean
Yep.
to wanting it to look relatable.
Yeah. Yep.
So like with environmentalism, when I talk to my cousin who's deep into all of that, he says everything tends to start looking really bland. And so I'm just kind of working on developing where that middle section is. And while keeping the brand out, on repeat, but how do you make that relatable at the same time?
Yeah, I think those are good, challenging questions that we probably could have taken the whole hour on.
True.
But I think what you did here is a great start, and I think it was just a great idea dump. To kind of say, okay, I like this. I mean, I like I like all the images that you picked. Of course, your Refill logo there is great. The imagery you picked, I think, is clean, right? It's not a cluttered background that the lady's cleaning in. It's simple over white with the product on the bottom right. And then also again, in the upper left is a kind of white with the clear bottles with the pop of color with the pink and the green there. Those things start to stand out. So that's good.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I'm loving the pink and green, by the way.
Yeah.
Just,
That's a cool twist. Yeah, because green and blue are in the branded colors, but that pop of pink really
Makes it more
that could be
interesting.
going somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that, Kay. Thanks for sharing. All right, Susie, you still here?
Yes, still here.
Good.
So when I was designing this, I was thinking more about our new upcoming G3 program, Get Skills, Get a Job, Give Back. It's a statewide program that was signed on. It should start in July 1. So it was more thinking about the frustration of not being in the career that you want to be in, or not having the skills to start down a path that you would want to be in. And so how we can kind of help you find out the best fit. I would like to have more people, and some of this I've started on my Canva, and I was trying to find the same pictures, and I couldn't find them quick enough. The little countdown thing made me a little nervous watching it go down. So the next is like getting those skills and then the success of it. So that will be something that you'll be seeing some of this coming up soon from us.
Good. That's great. Any questions or thoughts for Susie there? All
I like
right.
that imagery for looking for new opportunities. It's
Yeah, I think the imagery you picked, I agree.
Yeah.
The first one is the frustration piece, and then the second one's kind of a fun looking for new opportunities. That's great. That's good. Good. Sorry, Claire, I didn't mean to step all over you there. I apologize. That was really rude of me. I've done that a couple of times. You should just cut me off.
no problem.
Let's see. Jennifer, did you do one? Didn't look like it. Okay.
I did. I thought
oh,
I
did
moved
you?
it down to number 8, but I had there it is right there.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was very confused at the beginning, and Susie can tell you I'm not a Canva expert, but and I couldn't see very well, so I don't know what my words say. But anyway, we do personal enrichment as part of continuing education, and we do classes from youth theater to writing, art, music, relaxation. So we're kind of across the board everywhere, but yeah, on the last one, it should say create your next adventure. But yeah, and I didn't get my project name put in there, but
That's okay.
yeah,
That's quite all
good,
right.
good exercise.
Well, good. Yeah, just keep playing with that, and I think, again, like we talked about earlier, just continue to kind of pile those things on there or create new ones to go in there and say, all right, we want to make sure that people really get a full understanding of the breadth of things that we offer in this continuing piece.
Great. Thank you, Andy.
No, thank you, Jennifer. Thanks for participating. All right, Kim, you're definitely not least, but I'll make you go. You can go last and wrap the whole thing up since we are at time. I want to say thanks everybody for having us. We really appreciate the time, and we will see you next month to talk about placement of your materials. And Kim, talk us through your board as you wrap us up.
Okay, so really quickly, obviously we are a membership organization, as all of you know. So I wanted to make sure to get across that we help people grow their business. We make connections. We, two people that need to connect, help that happen. We, of course, advocate in states, national, local issues that are important to business. And then, of course, I did a little bit of the last picture, sort of networking, but also people working together to grow their business. So that's mine in a knit and gritty shell. But I do want to thank all of you guys so much for coming. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Andy. You guys are amazing. I love these workshops every month because we don't just obviously hear you talk, which is great, Andy, but we also get to learn and kind of get our hands dirty, which is awesome. So thank you all so much. As Andy mentioned, we will be back for our last and sad final session with Appeal. That is going to be on May 5th. So I'll remind you all as well. And I will also, once the recording is available from today's session, I will send that out so you have it if you ever want to watch it back. But thank you all again so much. I hope you have a fantastic day and go enjoy the beautiful weather.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.